Great, and then we'll go to Libertarians for the final word.
The system of affirmative action goes against the idea that people should be able to decide what they want to do with their own stuff. It takes away responsibility from the people who are running these institutions, and at the end of the day, what it does is actually perpetuate a cycle of its own. It's a reaction to this sort of systemic problem that existed. And at the end of the day, what we as libertarians would support is the idea of basically allowing people to determine where they want to go, how they want to go, without the necessity of these sort of affirmative action mandates that don't actually do very much of anything. It is really imperative that we understand that the effects of affirmative action don't just apply to these specific groups, for instance, but of course, we're talking about these microgroups. How far do we have to go down before we can determine which group should be represented by affirmative action and which shouldn't? This is something that we'll never be able to figure out, and the calculus is just not there.
Great. Thank you once again for your very insightful answers to our questions. I think we're doing a little bit of tag teaming here. Some of our groups switch out some of their members. Our next question concerns immigration, which is a very hot-button issue currently. Over the past year, migrant encounters at the southern border has seen record highs. Most sides of the debate agree that this is a pressing concern that needs to be addressed. What steps do you think the federal government should take to address illegal immigration? And we'll start this one with the Democrats.
All right. Going on. Now, immigration is a personal topic for me because as the son of immigrants from Guatemala and someone who grew up in a community of immigrants, it's important that we do address immigration. Now, we all know there is a crisis going on at the border, and I do believe we have to put more resources, more funding in our border agents to make sure that every single immigrant that's coming through our border is being processed and are treated humanely and fairly. But not only that, I also do believe that we have to reform our immigration system. We have to create a pathway to citizenship for all undocumented immigrants living in the U.S. That includes protecting DACA. That includes passing the long overdue DREAM Act, which has bipartisan support and was even championed by Florida Republican Senator Marco Rubio. So we are a nation of immigrants, and I believe we should be able to create a pathway for citizenship. We're a nation of immigrants. They come here for the American dream. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Next, we'll turn to the Republicans for their answer.
Regarding illegal immigration, because that's the question that was asked, my personal stance is that I think illegals should just be deported, and I think we should get the law finished, and I think policy should be implemented to discourage more from coming in. The college Democrats talked about reform, and I agree. I think we need more reform. I think immigration policy should be more restrictive. I think that immigration overall is largely a net negative, and this could be measured both economically and socially. Economically, we can talk about wage depression, we can talk about fiscal impact, and socially, we can talk about things like social trust. I'm willing to go through all of these, and these are just a few examples, and I expect that my opponents will likely attempt to cite some studies or reports showing evidence to the contrary, but as I hope to get to show, these tend to rely on very bad methodology, so that just ends up lending more support to my claims. Thank you.
All right, so now we'll go to the Libertarians.
All right, guys. We all agree on something. We all need to reform immigration. We all want to reform immigration. That's great. Now where we disagree. At the end of the day, immigration is very important. Democrats are right. Immigration has a lot of benefits. We need to give a pathway to citizenship to current immigrants. But why stop there? Why say that current illegal immigrants should be given legal status, and everyone else that comes after them, screw it, 43% of Fortune 500 companies were started by immigrants. Immigration is what has built this country. The United States has suffered an inflation crisis in large part due to the lack of labor supply. Most people that study economics will tell you this. There's been a massive labor demand right now. Firms have been bidding on high-wage workers for no reason. You go to any single store in any city, even in Binghamton, and any minimum wage job will say now hire. Prices have risen because people and companies are desperate for workers. Where can we find workers? Oh, how about at that border where we're putting people in cages because we don't want to let them in because they look differently than us. That didn't quite last when I looked. We need to open borders. And no, there's no study, you can show me whatever study you want to say that immigration hurts wages. No, it doesn't. People like to say immigration leads to a higher supply of workers and therefore will reduce wages. Immigrants also demand goods. They buy things. Immigrants lead to demand in societies, and that leads to a nice little equilibrium where wages are actually not changed for both native workers and immigrants. Immigrants make for a better America.
All right, we'll be going to the Democrats for the rebuttal, and I'm curious on why you think just more pathways to citizenship would be better than an open border system as the libertarians propose.
Well, first off, thank you from my libertarian friend for saying that he's very pro-immigration. But here's a series of problems that my Republican colleagues are supporting. First off, a border wall, it's not going to solve anything. It's not going to stop the illegal flow of immigration. It's a waste of money. It destroys the environment. And we cannot support the policies that were touted under Donald Trump because his policies for immigration were just purely hateful and racist. I believe we should have a pathway to citizenship for all immigrants living here. And it's had bipartisan support. I mentioned about the DREAM Act. The DREAM Act has had bipartisan support and has been touted by Republican Senator Marco Rubio. I believe that we should be able to reform the immigration system, and that includes having an immigration system that provides a pathway to citizenship for all undocumented immigrants. We should not be touting hateful, racist immigration policies. Open borders.
50 seconds.
Well, the thing with open borders, we have to ensure that there is security, so that way that our border agents are processing all the immigrants that are coming through the southern border. We have to make sure that they're doing it in a humane way, making sure that everyone is processed, that there's not an influx of immigrants coming through. That's why I do believe in border security, but I also believe in a pathway to citizenship. Thank you.
Next, we'll turn to the Republicans. I'm pretty sure you said that immigration is a net negative. The other two groups disagree with you. I'd like you to elaborate on your argument.
Yeah, sure.
Works for me. Okay, my bad. Okay, so the first thing I believe it was called libertarians that they brought up was the whole Fortune 500 thing. This is dishonest because the way they calculated that was if a firm is founded by more than one founder, but if one of them is an immigrant or one of them is a second generation immigrant, then they will count that as founded by immigrants, but when they calculate it, they only use the population of first generation immigrants to distort the per capita rate of innovation of immigrants. Secondly, with regards to entrepreneurship, only a third of natives, for example, with a degree in STEM field, hold STEM jobs. Can we employ those first? The labor force participation rate of natives has been on the decline since the 1990s, but the participation rate of immigrants has remained stable. Thirdly, with regards to the buy stuff and so they'll contribute to the economy, yeah, I agree, they do buy stuff, they get a lot of welfare, they disproportionately use welfare to measure from using the SIPP, and the last thing is regarding border walls, the argument that border walls won't work is not true. This has been tested there's a 2020 paper, and it's found that constructions in the municipality will reduce migration by 27% for municipality residents, 15% for residents of adjacent municipalities, and construction reduces migration by up to 35% for non-border municipalities, and it disproportionately deters low-skilled migrants. So there's that. What was my question?
20 seconds.
Okay, well,
I'm curious how you think we can have national security in a world of open borders.
Sure. I'll take this one at a time. There's a few things I want to address. I applaud my Democrat colleague for supporting illegal immigration, but unlike the Democrats, this is where I come closer to the Republicans, is I believe in rule of law. I think every individual should be treated fairly and equally under a legal system, which means that some people shouldn't be forced to go through a long processing system while others can be excused for their mistakes. No, you either let them all in or you let them keep them all out. You have to be consistent. People should be treated fairly. That is the definition of discrimination, when you treat people differently based on some qualifying characteristics. Speaking of rule of law, Republicans, I'm sure you guys are big fans of rule of law. And as it stands in the current system, illegal immigrants actually have special privileges over illegal immigrants. And for this reason, we need a pathway to citizenship. If you're an illegal immigrant, and say you commit a petty crime, you run a stoplight, and then someone sends you you get sent to you by extending your license, or something, not your license, but you get sent something saying,
Yeah, 5 seconds. I can't finish 5 seconds.
All right, we'll now go to the Democrats for their closing statement.
Was that Libertarian's closing statement?
No, that was the rebuttal.
Okay.
That was the rebuttal, so now these are the closing.
Well, first off, an entirely open border system is not realistic, despite what libertarians are saying. Now, we're capable of having border security. We're capable of having a strong border, but we're also capable of creating a pathway to citizenship. Now, instead of touting racist, hateful immigration policies that are championed by Republicans, we need to be able to reform our immigration system. We can pass the DREAM Act. We can protect DACA. We're all capable. This is a bipartisan issue that's supported by so many Americans. I believe we should be able to do that. And we are a nation of immigrants. We cannot be hateful. We can be able to accept them as our brothers and sisters. Thank you.
Republicans for their closing remarks.
Is this working? My main point is that illegal immigration is a net negative and should be opposed, as I stated in my opening. Now, immigration overall, I believe, is also a net negative, but illegal immigration is especially so, and this is a problem. One thing we need to keep in mind is that immigration is normally a selective process. What this means is that it is selecting positively for things like education level. And this is why the average immigrant will be, let's say, have higher rates of educational attainment than their nation of origin. But illegal immigrants, they bypass this process. And so as a result, as a certain orange man had once said, they're not sending their best. And we have no obligation, in my opinion, to prioritize their needs over that of the native population that is already here. Thank you.
Libertarians, you get 2 minutes. I gave you short shrift last time. I thought that was your closing statement, but I was confused.
You're wrong by the Republicans.
So you can finish your previous argument since I
Wonderful. All right, I'm only going to deal with the Democrats for 10 more seconds. Border security is unrealistic. Open borders is unrealistic. Border security is unrealistic. Look at the border right now. Tell me what a great job the Democrats have done, or the Republicans have done dealing with the border. Open borders is realistic. This is what America had for 100+ years. The reality is keeping these borders secure is what's unrealistic. Thompson, immigration is positively selecting. Sure. You know what else is positively selecting? Markets. Markets will tell you to go screw off if you don't have the characteristics to actually contribute to a society. Finally, I'll go back to the point I was trying to make earlier. Right now, illegal immigrants have benefits over legal immigrants, or just anyone. Any citizens. Illegal immigrants have special privileges. If an illegal immigrant commits a crime, they have no reason to be held accountable. If you're an illegal immigrant and you commit a small crime like running a traffic ticket, why would you go to court? You have no reason to go to court. You can just keep on going with your life, keep on hiding, and therefore there's no reason for you to actually be held accountable by government. There's no way for government to be held you accountable either. If you're an illegal immigrant, you are basically free from law. Once you've broken a law, the government's ready to send you back, nothing else matters. You can kill, you can rape, you can murder, nothing matters. Republicans have allowed a system where illegal immigrants are able to live carefree. I support rule of law, as I stated very clearly before. All Americans should be treated the same, under the same legal system. That includes illegal immigrants being held accountable to the same laws, and that includes future immigrants also being held to the same standard that Democrats refuse to hold future immigrants to, but they're fine let bygones be bygones with current immigrants. I support treating people equally, letting people in that will contribute to America, and increasing entrepreneurship for a better America. Immigration is what makes this country great. Look around. You don't see a lot of white people in here. And I don't mean that in a racist way, but I mean that in that America's a diverse country. This is entrepreneurship, and this is greatness. Open the borders.
All right, thank you all for your answers yet again. I want to remind people that our last question is going to be a question taken from the audience. We've had about 20 submitted. There's a lot of overlap, and I will ask the question that gets essentially asked the most. So if you've yet to submit something, you should submit a question. At this point, we're going to take a short break, about 5 to 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
10 minutes, so we have 10 minutes, get some refreshments, go to the bathroom, and then come back for the second part of the debate.
Please help the tables, get some food, get some drinks with it.
debate yet.
How's the jet skiing going, Aiden? How's the jet skiing going? I thought it started at 15.
No, it just started.
Okay.
I'm just too busy talking.
All right, what's the score? 0-0?
They gave me a box for a while, and I don't know what it is. No, it's 7-0.
7.